today alone, but on the other side of our streaming connection is my colleague Marta. And our presentation and work is also featured by Emilia Jastrzębska, who is an author of a report that was presented today, the report about musealization of human remains in Polish museums. A lot of different things were said today, and I will not stress them once again because we all accept the way of thinking that we presented here. What we would like to report somehow is how we deal with the topic, with this area inside of our institutions, which is mostly Jagiellonian University and Gdańsk University. And on the other side, for more than 7 years, we are working with the Polish Association of University Museums, and one of area inside of this activities is contested heritage, and inside of it, of course, human remains. But in case of university museums and collections, we need to talk and think about really different things that are contested, not only human remains, but also things that were connected with violence somehow, and with difficulties. So the diversity of collections inside of universities is so big that the diversity of interpretation also at the same moment is really big. Of course, discussion about sensitivity of objects is much more regular today. We know that. But when I think about me in museum 20 years ago, I think we didn't discuss things like today. And really big big change came, of course, with the discussions that were realized in Western Europe, in United States, or in Australia. And of course, this decolonization aspect and decolonization policies that came with this reinterpretation of history and relations between different countries and areas and the different communities. Definitely, these discussions brought us really big possibility to change our thinking about collections. And definitely also with this started to work with our collections inside of our universities and inside of our community. My museum, for example, and our colleagues from another university collections and centers and museums, we started to work and confront us with different policies for diversity collections in 2017. It was connected with really big problem of objects and of ownership of objects and of cataloging of objects. So as probably a lot of us know, especially people that are working in university museums and collections, usually collections functioned without any catalogs in the sense of cataloging that we're thinking about in the sense of museology area, or in general about reports, about ownership, about difficulties that are connected, for example, to these objects. It is problematic, even if it's only deposit, if it's our part of ownership, then because without any detail informations, it's not possible to work transparent, and it's not possible, for example, usually to share informations. And for a long time, collections of this type, and at the same moment, informations and stories about collections were inside of institutes, so mostly closed for people that were connected with to these institutes. When the museum was organized, of course, there was much more possibilities to present different objects. So sometimes this discussion or interaction between university or public came into account. So maybe really quicker discussion came out. For example, another kind of remains, because it's not topic about human remains, but animals. When we opened for the public our center for natural history objects, the first presented temporary exhibition, was in all press information on the second day, because it was recommended, or it was presented not from our perspective, but from journalists, that we promote killing of animals. So the context was not taken from our explanation, but from thinking that we are showing animals. So as you see, when we open, when we in reaction, then after we need to think about the problem, even if we have some story to tell. And the same center, the same space, 2 years later, anthropological collection inside of a really big and diverse collection of items that is telling us about biodiversity and about changing of the world, and really a lot of discussions from public, especially from parents of children that are visiting this center, that it's not possible to show without any information about it anthropological collections. So center changed a little bit the form of presentation. So today we are really much more aware, and not only we as museums or community that is responsible for collections, we have special council like you've heard, but in general it came with the time. I would like to start with some interesting thing that we made as university museums, as Jagiellonian University Museum and Gdańsk University Museum, together with National Institute for Museums and our association, and together with Emilia, we organized a few years ago a special seminar about musealization, and we combined experiences from not only academical collections, but also church museums and collections, anthropological, archaeological, and martyrological collections. So as you probably thinking, collections were really difficult, but not any time human remains, but in general things that were connected to really bad things in the past. Like, for example, in Auschwitz-Birkenau, so it were usually shoes or clothes, only hair, like things that are not in the sense of law human remains, yeah, but in a lot of cases we see a lot of inside of Auschwitz. And what was quite obvious after this after this report and after discussions, after seminars, that we have definitely different kind of objects, and we will think about them. Even if they're not, like I said, human remains, we will think about them really as about sensitive and really fragile things. So the methodology should be open for really big diversity of objects. If we think about things that are connected to people, to identity, the things about quite different things, yeah. But sometimes this is the only things that we have after this person, or her, for example. And once in history, in Polish legal system, the cutted hair was treated as human remain, and it was possibility to finish the living story of one human being, so the family could finish some things with documentation, because our legal system, state system, and all policies accepted that hair is the part of someone's body. So this once this diversity, the second, in really lot of cases of museums, of course, these objects were presented or are presenting during exhibitions, because if we talk about martyrological or churches, museums, and of course, in many cases of university museums, we have different type of exhibitions, in the sense that it can be showcased in corridor. For example, if we are visiting Italian universities, for example, or also, for example, Czech museums at the university, these are sometimes small showcases, but they are quite open for students and people from outside, and you can see different objects inside of it, skulls, for example. Yeah. So why I tell you about these museums in connection of our museums? Because we have the same problem. We think about the same aspect. We think about respect, about awareness building. But in case of a lot of museums, like anthropological or archaeological or martyrological museums, it's not any other possibility for them than to function with the policy that is for museum only. Yeah, so it's needed to make the same cataloging for this kind of object, like in the sense in the situation of other objects, like for example ceramic or furniture. Yeah, it's really difficult in the sense that you need to put it into inventory. It's not the same thing as you only collect information. You need to need to do the same things. You need to do a report in the same way. Of course, it was made after the war in case of Auschwitz Museum, for example, because etiquette museum was the only way to protect this place. Yeah, but at the moment we need maybe, or not maybe, we really need to change, to reflect, to change the formula for this kind of collection. Definitely, it will be better for daily work. So inside of this group of museums were university museums and collections, and I will be focused in a short time on our group of museums, but in all cases, objects. So human remains were objects in all cases. Yeah, it's kind of monument. It's kind of relics. It's only in this way we call this kind of this part of our collections. It's not possible to deal with this differently. Yeah. Only in this way, archaeological groups, for example, and scientists can work with different spaces and with human remains. They can collect for scientific reasons. And of course, we have different ways how we protect human remains, and in this sense, of course, they are useful in this kind of work that we are talking about. But definitely, on the state level, on organizational level, we have really big problem how to judge it, and we don't want to allow to change it in one move, because it's too fragile topic. So we need to think how to clarify this really specific thing. When we think about human remains in academic museums, we have also problems like were discussed earlier, but we can divide also academic collections in two different groups. So one group is definitely the group for medical school. When I think about Jędrzej and about medicine, pathology or anatomy, it's another sense of organization. Of course, there are rules, there are policies, there is really big awareness that professors are building together with students. It's not possible any other way, in so good way, to teach medicine like with real body. So this is another story, and of course we needed to make some really important thing and policies and professors needed to clarify different things, but I would like to focus more on the second group, so on objects that we have in another type of collections. So once is really difficult, but on the second side, we have this collection, so we need to provide them good, and we need to be focused on the best way how to protect them, how to storage them, and how to teach with them, or how to make them really visible, and how to build, thanks to these collections and objects, really big awareness, because we need to clarify some situation, we need to reflect on different situations. Definitely critical studies and this way of thinking was really important part of actions that helped us inside of universities and inside of collections. I'm deputy director of Jagiellonian University Museum, and in the last 5 years we changed our narration really much. I think about different types of narration, about inclusiveness, not in the sense of telling about hidden stories and about thinking about objects that they are really much more fragile than we are thinking about them. But in general, networking, international networking, critical studies, a lot of strategies and policies for sustainability. These were acts and these were actions that helped us to work with so sensitive collections. And that is how our group started to work. That is how we coordinated cooperation with different institutions. And for example, that is how we started to work with Emilia, because earlier I've stressed a few things. You could heard this kind of things. It always been like this, yeah. So what should we change? We didn't have a colony. This is not our role or need to reflect, to change, to think about it. Or, for example, it's not human remain, it's reliquary, yeah? So we see here a work of art. What are you talking about, yeah? And after all, it's our thing. So it's our object, this thinking about ownership. So all the time we've heard this kind of reflections. Now it's really much changed. And it's because I think people made really big progress in thinking about relation, in thinking about what is fragile, in acting against violence, because the sense of practicing work and protection of human remains and sensitive collection is to be against violence mostly. And what I can say after a few years, the most and the biggest sense of this work that we've made and we started to do is definitely the sense of humanity. And we would like to make these actions to be transparent, to see and show and to show the truth, because we are public institution, because we are university, because our role is to explain, and sometimes our role is to say, okay, we are on the top of decisions, and now it's our turn to return something in words, or to return something directly when we talk about objects, when we talk about remains. But the aspect of returning, like I said, is really complicated in the sense of legal aspects and organization. So that is the next level that we need to do. And I can say you that if I will have this possibility, because I'm in different councils, I would like to propose, I proposed that once, to build some code of ethics also for collections at universities, because we have ICOM and code of ethics for ICOM, which is changing now at the moment after new definition. But 20 years, over 20 years, more than 20 years ago, UMAC, University Museums and Collections Community, was organized. And this community connecting a lot of collections all around the world. So we are working with people from Australia, from the United States. We see what is going on there and we learn a lot. So I think also good thing for universities still will be to propose this kind of code of ethic in the sense of working with so diverse collections and so diverse problematic issues. Thank you very much. And we propose to invite to visit also museums at universities because they are really made a lot of things in last year. Thank you.